Buenas and half a day. My name is Elsa Demeulenaere. I'm the Associate Director for Natural Resources at UOG Center for Island Sustainability. I'm also an interdisciplinary PhD candidate with the University of Alaska Fairbanks and UOG. Today I will share some of my research. The story I'm about to share is another kind of endangered species story. It is a story connected to the Chamorro people indigenous to the Mariana Islands with the Fenihi and Fadang, rooted in a long history of coexistence, which is threatened with extinction. The way I became connected to this story started in my neighborhood. I've lived in the same neighborhood in Ipan for over 15 years now. Rosalind and Manamko would always come over and share a dish and stay over for a conversation. This habit is called kalos and fatoige. These two pictures depicted above I found amongst my old pictures. These are some of the dishes she shared over the years. We also did the same and still today actually share dishes with her. My daughter also expanded the habit and is bringing dishes over to her Nina. Here on the bottom picture you can see she's bringing waffles over made with mango from her garden. The other picture with my two sons and their friend Ska is a very old picture, but it's also showing they are sharing their food as being a fenihi with each other. Rosalind and me had never a short conversation during Kalos and Fatoigi. We also oftentimes walked in each other's garden, looked in the forest, and there was a fadang in the forest growing next to us. And she loved talking about how she would gather these fadang seeds and make details fadang of them and how delicious they were and how she loved their smell. Only later, when I studied fadang as an endangered species specialist, I was thinking, oh, maybe I should record these stories because not only the tree in our forest was gone, the fadang was gone, but also these stories of taste and smell might be gone and lost too. So I decided to set up a research project with the following questions. Are traditional food practices at risk being lost? How is the Chamorro worldview and the Chamorro value system tied to knowing these endemic species? Can traditional ecological knowledge and scientific ecological knowledge unite in a co-production of knowledge that can protect these endangered species? I used a mixed method ethnographic approach comprised of open-ended interviews, participant observation, and literature review. The participant observation consisted of listening to stories for many years and gathered perceptions on Chamorro value systems relating to food, for instance, gaftao or generosity, or hospitality, zoase. I went to gupot or fiestas, and I learned about what was shared now and in the past. The fadang is actually a very special tree as it belongs to the ancient genus Cycas, which originated during Triassic, when the dinosaurs were still around. The leaves were most likely actually dinosaur food. Unfortunately, Cycas micronesica, an endemic species to Micronesia, was once the most common tree in Guam's limestone forests. Now it is threatened with extinction as a cycad scale insect is decimating their populations. Additionally, large-scale developments, especially during the military buildup, are wiping out large populations. Cycads are dioecious and have a male and female plant. You can see the male cone on the left picture and on the right picture, the female cone. As she matures, the seeds will grow and they will start falling down, hanging down. And you can see when they're ripened, they're chocolate wrinklish brown. Gathering the seed was always a family activity. Frank Cruz told me 2 pickup trucks full of his family members would gather and go search the forest. From the stories I gathered, 2 leaching methods were used to remove the cyanide toxins from the seeds. Hope Cristobal told that after the mature seeds were gathered, they would pound them in embedded basalt boulders at the riverbanks with a manu or hard grinding stone on a lusang to crack them open, as you can see the imprints here on the picture. When the cracked seeds were gathered, they would place them in a gunny sack and hang them tied to a tree in the river, and that way the river could leach them for a couple of weeks to make sure the cyanide toxins were removed. Another way of leaching actually occurred at home, which was called the soaking and rinsing technique. The seeds were soaked in water and put outside under the porch. Rosalind said after her mother would change the water in the morning and in the evening for weeks until they would get rid of the poison. The processing of the seed after the toxins were removed continued in the kitchen. Judy Flores' artwork depicts the metate or groundstone, which was used for grinding the seeds into flour. My neighbor remembers the smell as her mother started cooking the tititas fidang with her aunt and on a castoring pan or comet in the kitchen, describing the smell as soothing and giving her really warm memories as she was talking about it. She said the tititas fidang tasted very chewy and not like the imported corn tititas. She loved just the chewiness of them. And while most people I interviewed spoke vividly about their taste and smell, when some were like horrified and said, oh, when they changed the water, there was a horrible smell filling the air. The tititas fidang were mostly shared amongst family members. At fiestas, the tititas fidangs were found like in the kitchen, back in the kitchen, because they were really rare. The finihi, as you all know, is an important seed disperser. And then they love to eat actually the seed coat of the fidang. The finihi has been part of the Chamorro diet for millennia, but these species are also threatened with extinction. Restoration efforts consist of adding food sources for the finihi in degraded forests. Fidang is an important part of this effort. Not long ago, finihi was commonly found at fiesta tables and was considered a prime dish. Finihi was cooked in coconut milk, as you can see in the picture above. Sometimes corn was added. As you grew up, you ate the wings, and then as you became older, you ate the whole bat. People said as you grew up, you developed an acquired taste for it. Chamorro conservation managers told me they were afraid their kids would never acquire the taste of finihi and hoped that one day finihi populations would be restored so they could hunt them sustainably and restore this traditional practice. Activism also plays an important role in protecting endangered species. As fidang and finihi occur at Hailalo, Protehila Tetson speaks out against the plant firing range, which will wipe out many cycad populations and primary limestone forests where finihi reside. Activists do not only protect species, but also the rights of the Chamorro people, as these species are part of their Chamorro biocultural heritage. How do we effectively protect threatened and endangered species? A co-production of knowledge, where scientists and traditional knowledge holders work together and outline harvest practices and implement also these regulations would be a way to solve the conservation measures we were looking for. The Chamorro value system and worldview, which is connected with the natural environment, can connect and protect natural and cultural heritage at the same time because they are intrinsically connected in the Chamorro worldview. We have created a flyer to illustrate the strong connection between the Chamorro people, the Fidang, and the Finihi. And you can download it on our CIS website. You can also download the paper we published in Asia Pacific Inquiry on our UOG website. It's also available on the website of Asia Pacific Inquiry at the UOG website. Sizus Maasi to all traditional knowledge holders and artists who share their stories and of course to my committee member. Let me know if you have any questions.